Hi, this is Colin Gold, and you are listening to the Prince of Wales Theatre Show.
Hey, welcome. This is episode 2 of the Prince of Wales Theatre Show. Welcome back. We promised that we were going to be here for you. We are here. We wondered how we were going to top Joe McElderry back in episode 1. You can listen to that and future shows after this one at wlct.org/showtime. 3 guests today. One of them's a co-host, a fantastic guy. He's with us right away. Richard Kay, the manager of the Prince of Wales Theatre. But we've also got Katia from Stars of Strictly coming your way on Friday the 27th of June. And also Colin Gold, who is the man with the quiff, Billy Fury in Halfway to Paradise, Saturday the 14th of June at 7:30. Both of those interviews coming up soon. But first of all, Richard, how are you today?
I'm good, Dave, and really looking forward to doing the show with you again.
Yes, and long may it continue and thrive. Now, I don't know if you've had much experience of Strictly Come Dancing, Richard. It's incredible, isn't it, how a television show like that it still manages to capture the public's imagination.
Astounding, Dave, and I mean, it looks like it's got a few more years left in it yet, in all fairness. I mean, obviously, Katia, when she's here, she's dancing with Pasha, who, of course, won it the year before last. So, I mean, not only have we got 2 of the stars of Strictly here, we've got a past winner. Really looking forward to that, and the vibrancy and the enthusiasm that you see on Strictly is very, very much translated to the live stage performance as well. So, I mean, any fans of Strictly are going to love this show.
Well, Katia mentioned to me that the show format is also going to be very much different to anything that anybody has probably ever experienced, unless, of course, they've been to a Stars of Strictly show in the past, and she's going to tell us. In fact, without further ado, Richard, let's just get stuck in and straight into the interview show. Shall we hear from Katia?
Yeah, lovely.
Well, on today's show, we've got a very special guest for you. She moves like no one else, and she's already moved me. In fact, we've just been talking for a couple of minutes about what's been going on behind the scenes. Katia Verschelas is one of the stars of Strictly, coming on Friday the 27th of June to the Prince of Wales Canic. She's here. You don't want to listen to me. Katia, how are you today? You well?
I'm very well, yeah. I'm actually very well. The whole cast, Pasha and I, we just came back from a Russian banya. Oh. We went to do a steam. So we've been, we're good. I'm feeling really relaxed and cozy.
You went to do a steam?
Yeah, it's a Russian banya. It's when you go into a sauna, which is heated to 125 degrees heat. Wow. And then afterwards you plunge into a pool of 8, like -8. So it's for circulation and muscle relaxation. And then you eat Russian food there and have hot tea and massage. It's really nice.
I imagine after the 9th week, way back when you started over on Strictly Come Dancing, Katia, that's exactly what Phil Tufnell needed after you'd put him through his paces, right? Sounds like the most relaxing thing on earth.
Yeah, I know. But I think, yeah, exactly. After that would have been really good for his knee.
So whereabouts are you now, Katia?
Well, I have a day off today, and I'm in my home in London, in North London.
Beautiful, great. Now, yeah. I'm curious. It must be very challenging to teach somebody with no experience. I told you earlier, I've got 2 left feet. I've got no rhythm at all. Where do you start with your wealth of experience as an incredibly professional dancer? Where do you start with somebody at such a beginner level of dancing? How do you get them onto the dance floor in the first place?
Well, I think in any start, you need to gain their trust and to get them excited about doing it. Because you never meet a celebrity or somebody that you're going to teach to dance and say, okay, this is what we're going to be doing. You want to kind of feel out how they like to be taught, how they are as a person. So I like to get to know them first. And outline a base connection. But it's funny, I think the first thing that I would always say, could you just walk for me? And then they start getting all intense and scared, and they're falling over and going crossways. So, because it's like teaching them how to walk all over again.
That's amazing.
But then, start slowly. I mean, sometimes standing really close to a woman and it's in a different kind of form. So you really start taking baby steps. If you have the will and the excitement and the want to do it, anybody can do it.
I think a lot of people will know you not just from Strictly Come Dancing, which was obviously very much a UK phenomenon, but you appeared on screen with Richard Gere, didn't you?
Yes, I did a film with Richard Gere and Jennifer Lopez where I had a small acting role, but I ended up doing choreography and training Richard Gere and Stanley Tucci and Susan Sarandon and Maya for the film with other dancers. And that film kind of evolved me to get into television, and I did Supernatural and Smallville and a few other films, and then I did take the lead with Antonio Banderas. I did the famous tango. Well, I was very blonde. That was all when I was blonde. I choreographed the tango scene with him in the movie.
So we've got two films straight away that we've got to put onto our DVD players now. Shall We Dance and Take the Lead? Sounds like a great one. But dancers themselves typically, Katia, don't become celebrities, but you yourself have become a celebrity.
Well, I don't know if I consider myself a celebrity.
You are.
Or I don't know if my life. I mean, I think I've been so lucky to just to do what I'm doing, but it was never a plan. I think it opened up my mind that I'm not just a dancer. I'm not just an actress. I can do kind of, I've trained to do everything, and it made me, I think, a better artist, a better choreographer, and much more open-minded than somebody who would just do ballet for 25 years. Like, I didn't think that I would be having my own show touring the UK for 3 years. Definitely not in the plan.
That blows your mind, doesn't it? It really does. You're listening to Katia Verchelas from Stars of Strictly, which is coming your way on the 27th of June. That's Friday, to the Prince of Wales and Cannock, and you can get tickets for that, as always, boxoffice.wlct.org.
You know what? Can I tell you something exciting about that night?
For God's sake, do.
So Pasha's mother and my mother, we're flying them in on the 24th, and they're going to be joining us on tour for the last week. Pasha's mom hasn't seen him dance since 1998. And my mother hasn't seen me dance live since 2001. So it's going to be their first time seeing us perform. So it's going to be quite an emotional evening. And his mom, there was a point where she didn't see Pasha for 10 years because she couldn't leave the Soviet Union. So it's going to be a very special evening.
So tell us what we've got to expect then. So you're coming our way, like we said, end of June, coming over to Cannock. Great theatre, great dancers. I'm sat in the audience. What am I going to see? Well,
basically, with everything that you have about Strictly, it's quite big and extravagant, from the O2 tours. What everyone always says to us, because we do a meet and greet after each show where everyone gets a photo, a picture, and a sign program, that everybody says it's so intimate. It's so much more up close and personal, where they get to know us throughout the show, as well as they see the most amazing dances, from Argentine tango to waltzes to, all the salsa and the Latin dances. We have a question and answer period where the audience texts the questions, and I mean, sometimes they're just hilarious, and we answer all of them. There, no discreet, no
no holds barred, no censorship.
No, I don't hold anything back, darling. You see, I'm like a Carry-On movie. So, and then we audience participation moment when we choose random audience to come up and dance with Pasha. So it's such a entertaining show, and it's from for kids to adults. We literally our youngest patrons is like 4 years old, and the oldest 95 to 100. We had this lady that was celebrating her 95th birthday. So it's really for everyone, and it's really entertaining, and I really hope that the audience will come and see it, because they will not be disappointed.
Well, it sounds like an absolutely spectacular show, and Katia and Pasha will both be with us on the 27th of June. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you get to get some kale and spinach smoothies down now you've got your juicer back, the most important thing on earth.
Thank you.
There we go. And you've noticed on purpose, I've deliberately missed out saying Katya's surname. I made a fool of myself when she was on air with us, but I'll have another go. Katya Vershilus there, who's going to be performing with Pasha, we mentioned before, on the 27th of June. And what an interesting story, Richard. All of those years since their mums have been to see them dance live, and they bring that pleasure to Cannock.
Well, Dave, I mean, when I first heard that, I was absolutely astounded. You know, to think that their mothers haven't seen them dance for years and years and years, and the very first time they're going to do so is here at the Prince of Wales Centre. It's lovely, to be honest with you, Dave, and to think that we are actually hosting it that night is it's thrilling, and I'm sure it'll be a really emotional night for all of them, for all of the family, and I've no doubt that will possibly be translated to the audience. I think it's going to be something very special.
Tears in the eyes all round there. Let's hope it's not because they fall over. But, this brings an interesting point, this to bear, Richard, is that a stage is an incredible piece of apparatus. It hosts, obviously, ballroom dancers, but in the shape of Halfway to Paradise that we're going to cover off later with Colin Gold, the star of that show, you've got a huge, great rock production on your hands. How do you manage to keep a stage in tip-top shape for any eventuality?
Well, I mean, Dave, obviously that's a lot of that's down to my staff, in all fairness, who, they work really hard. They're passionate about the venue, so they're keen to look after the venue. And we're constantly switching the stage around, as you've mentioned, from Strictly Come Dancing to rock concerts, to a range of events. That particular show, Halfway to Paradise, as you said, is a big show. I mean, there'll be a sort of 10K PA coming in, public address system coming in. That takes both my lads and the crew that tour with it. They're probably the best part of 3 hours, just getting the kit in, just getting it set up. That's before the band have an opportunity to sound check and so on and so forth. But one of the interesting things with the Halfway to Paradise show as well, Dave, is that they use projection. So you get film of Billy Fury performing live whilst the band and Colin Gold are performing live underneath the actual live footage. And it really is a nice addition to the show, that. And I know we spoke off air a couple of minutes ago about Billy Fury and his fan club still. And it's true to say he has still got a genuine fan club. There are real followers of Billy Fury. He was very much a legend of his time. And I think for them to have the opportunity to see Billy up there on a screen whilst the show's going on is terrific. And it's just that little makes it a little bit different from just a straight concert. When
we hear about productions like this, Richard, we think they are but tribute shows. And having spoken to Colin, I've realised that Halfway to Paradise, the Billy Fury story, is anything but. 2/3 of that band are the original Billy Fury band, aren't they?
They are indeed. They are indeed. And the way that actual production is done, as I say, with the footage, and the way that the songs are put together in terms of the order, it very much takes you through the story, Billy Fury's story. It's unfair in many cases to say it's a straight tribute show, because it's not. It's very often telling you the story and giving you information about that person's life. And then it makes it very different from a band just turning up and just playing the individual songs from that particular artist. You very much do get the story, and that's why it is Halfway to Paradise, the Billy Fury story, and the word story is very relevant.
Sounds like closer to Paradise than that to me. But Colin's got a stack of stories to tell about the show. No small feat, being in the business of playing Billy for nearly 2 decades. So
no.
Let's have a listen to him, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that.
You've been doing this now for 17 years, effectively, being Billy for 17 years. You get less for murder, don't you? How's it been?
It's gone so quick. It really has gone quick. When we first started, obviously we did the hour show and we didn't really know how it was going to go, and then it was going so well we took it off the road again and did the 2 hours, and then Charlie came along, and when you look back at the original videos that we were using, you know, when all that long curly hair, I mean, when we started they still had it, and now it's all gone. You know, sometimes I just turn around and have a quick glance at the screen, just giggle to myself, you know. Not how we can get away with it, it's just like how it's gone on so long, you know, and it's going from strength to strength. You know, it's great. I love it.
How do audiences respond to something that is quite vintage, quite extravagant, you know, big sets?
Well, it's great because we always come out after and sort of sign, you know, and say hello to as many people as we possibly can. Yeah. And they don't really, I mean, a lot of shows are using projection, but when we first started using it, there was two actual projections that were made. One was Pink Floyd, and we bought the other one, and at the time it cost something like $26,000. And, you know, we just wanted to go along with the flow. So we were the first one of sort of the first big bands, big shows to use this projection. But what actually gives it the status and the credibility is when people actually see behind us that the guys on stage now, of them on stage with Billy, you know, and there's quite a lot of footage there. You know, we haven't used it, or we don't want to sort of give them all in one hit. You know, after 17 years, we've still got loads, you know, to show them. We're sort of adding bits and pieces to the show all the time, and people go, "Oh, it's so, you know, great to see, you know, you're still going and all that." And the amount of people that's actually been to see those perform with Billy, and to go and see them now, you know, it's great for them. You know, it brings back a lot of nostalgia for them.
It must be quite difficult because you have to be resourceful. He's done his thing now. There's obviously going to be no more Billy Fury records out. But at the same time, his discography is so immense, isn't it, that I suppose you can tap into an almost unlimited well of incredible music to entertain.
I mean, if you could not possibly do all of these. You'd have like a 6-hour show. You know, I mean,
Bring it on.
We try and cut some, I mean, obviously the big guns, you know, like the top 10 and the top 15s, we try and cut them out and put different ones in. And people notice straight away, you know, it's unbelievable. Last gig, I said, let's drop Margot, see if anybody notices. We pulled out Margot and we found some old tape of Chris singing with Billy in a dressing room, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? So we lifted Billy's voice off of the tape. It was an old 8-track. And I sang that part, and it went down really well. But at the end of the show, people said, "We didn't do Margot." They noticed straight away. You know, it's unbelievable.
You've got groupies, Colin. Forget it or not, that's the best way to do it, isn't it? You've got people who keep coming back, I guess, which is great.
That's the good thing about it. They do, you know. And you know, and I say to them, you know, I said to them, "Did you enjoy the show?" And they said, "It just gets better every time." You know, because we try and put little bits of, so that the slight little change people notice. You know, it's great. You know.
1,000 stars in the skies, like the stars in your eyes. They say to me that they'll never be.
You're listening to Colin Gold, who is more than playing Billy Fury. He is Billy Fury to all intents and purposes. He's been playing him for 17 years now. Coming with his show to the Prince of Wales Centre on Saturday the 14th of June, 7:30pm. Tickets still available, so please do book because it's going to be a fabulous show. Colin, you mentioned before about Chris, and there'll be new legions of fans probably at every tour that you start seeing. You know, we're not getting older, but we're not getting younger either. But at the same token, you're going to start seeing some fairly new people. But they might not know the Billy Fury story. They might not know the context of Chris and so forth. So could you give us a brief overview of where we are now and what really you've been doing on the show?
Well, how it all came about was I was on Stars and Rise sort of late in '96, and I had a phone call from Chris Rayner, who was Billy's original guitarist at the time, saying that they're thinking about getting a show together. Would you like to come and sort of audition as you know, as I suppose that's the best way to put it. So they were all from Nottingham, so off I gets in the car. Well, first originally I put the phone down on him because I thought it was one of my friends winding me up. You know, I thought, yeah, of course you are, you know. And then after the second, he said, "Please don't put the phone down on me." I said, "All right then." And it went on from there, and we started doing the show with John Rayner. He was also originally the drummer, and another John on the bass who had to leave for ill health. And then we found Graham Wyville, who played with Billy. So he came back on the bass. It was a 4-piece, and then we were performing in Bradford, and I never knew Charlie Elston, who was Billy's original keyboard player and musician, MD, who introduced the rest of the band to Billy, turns up to say hello, and he's still with us now. So, and Charlie was the one who found all the film footage that we've got. He found it in his dad's loft when his dad died, bless him, of all the guys, and loads of things. I mean, they not only they used to back Billy, they used to back Martha Reeves, they were the Vandellas, for a while. They've been all over the world, session musicians. So it's just an honour to be on stage with them. But I just look at them as my mates. I don't, sort of, oh yeah, he used to do this, and he says that we can be sort of in the pub round the corner half hour before we go on, or an hour, talking to each other, and people haven't got a clue who we are. It can be right next to me. Then when I go in and sort of quiff up, and they go, and when they come to the signing table after, I go, "You was in the pub, you were?" Yeah, I said I was right next to you. And they go, "Man, wow!" There's so many things they want to ask us, which is good. But a lot of people still coming up now with photographs and pictures of Billy with the band, which we use in the new brochures and on the website, of course. Yeah.
I think I want to see that video, the time-lapse footage of you quiffing up. I think that has got to be one of life's memorable moments.
Actually, that's one thing I've never done. It takes me, I can do it literally 4 minutes. When I first started, my wife had to do my hair, and we'd be on tour for 3 days, and I wouldn't let them open the windows of the cars in case it blew the quiff out. I used to sleep bolt upright in beds and not wash my hair for 3 days. It was really bad. And now it takes me, I can do it in 4 minutes. Dude. Yeah, literally. So
amazing.
Yeah.
But you, Colin, you're clearly not a Scouser. And we're like that. And that makes the transformation go far beyond the quiff into something that's completely different. You're stepping into the great man's shoes, but you're changing accents, you're changing your look. What do you have to do? Because clearly there is something inside you that has to click into action, right? You're not you anymore. You're Billy Fury. But are there any sort of special little routines, funny little routines that you have to go through to get into the man himself? I mean, it must be very, very confusing for you and your family to see two men living in one man's skin.
No, I mean, as I said before we did the interview, if you come to my house, you wouldn't have a clue what I did for a living. It's like when we get to the theatres, some of the backstage stuff, because my two sons, Ricky and Danny, they do the sound and the lighting, and they run practically the whole show. And people don't know that they're my sons. And when they go, "Dad," and the crew look and go, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they go, "Oh, yes, my dad and all that." And what's he like at home? And then they get all the questions. But I don't as soon as the jacket goes on and the collar's up, I'm there to do a job. And if you don't do that job properly in front of all those people, they're going to know. They're going to, even the slightest note, you drop a note, they're going to pick up on it. So, sort of touch wood, in 17 years, we've never had a bad gig. It's always gone really well because the adrenaline sort of kicks in and you give it, you give it your all. Everybody on stage does it. There isn't one person in the band that's any sort of better than anyone else when we're on that stage. And we've all agreed that. But because we all get on so well and we enjoy what we're doing as well, and it comes across, so I think that's the main factor. Still got to enjoy it, but you must, you've got to put your heart and soul into those songs. Like when sometimes, like one of my favourite numbers is "Last Night Was Made for Love." You have to growl, sort of growl in your voice a certain way through that song. And if you don't do it, people notice. They're avid fans, as we say, or avid music fans. It's an honour to be doing it, and after 17 years of still doing it, it's great. It's absolutely great.
Once upon a dream, I met her long ago, but somehow I can't forget her. I met her once upon a dream. We built a castle.
Fascinating life story, both of Colin Gold, the man you're listening to right now, and Billy Fury on the Billy Fury Story. You can go over and see more about the Billy Fury Story at billyfurystory.com. Obviously, this show, with all of its multimedia magic, is coming our way to the Prince of Wales Theatre on Saturday, 14th of June. We're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to meeting you, Colin, because you bring something totally new to this. Like you mentioned before, you've brought the original band, essentially, back. This nearly 2 decades on the road, and you're still seeing people who probably been seeing you since day one, first saw you on Stars in Their Eyes. I mean, it's incredible. Did you ever imagine even before you appeared on TV, and I'm presuming that was a Matthew Kelly hosted show, was it then, back in 96?
Yeah.
Was he the man at the helm?
Yeah.
Well, did you see for yourself the career of a very prominent actor? I don't know if you consider yourself an impersonator or whether you just think of yourself as Billy Fury, because it's a very defined career, isn't it? You generally find that people start their lives, whether they're at school and they want to be a brain surgeon or an astronaut, they want to be an actor. Yeah. Was this always the plan for you?
No, I was a drummer. I went to Barbara Speake Stage School in acting with Brian Connolly, the comedian, and Phil Collins, the drummer from Genesis. His mum used to run the music side of it, and he used to come in and give us some drums, drum tips and lessons. And he wanted me to read drum music, and I wasn't sort of really into that music side of it. I just wanted to enjoy drumming, and I've done that for years. And when I was 12, 13, I was backing people like Frank Carson and Jim Davison around clubs with my brother, because he's a keyboard player as well. And then one day I just said, I don't want to drum anymore. I think I'll have a go at the singing, because I used to sing from behind the drums. And before Stars and Eyes audition, I was working with children with special needs. And one day I had to take a day off. So I said to my boss, look, I'm going for an audition for Stars and Eyes, and it's in Manchester. I'd passed all the rest of them, but I didn't say anything to anyone. And the last one was in Manchester. So I was taking 3 girls to school, so I told their mum and their dad, look, I won't be in tomorrow, I've got something to do. I said, okay, that's fine. So I get to Manchester, and I was the last one of the last day of the last audition to walk in. I didn't dress up as Billy, I just had jeans on and all that, and there was a couple of other blokes there with all these suits on and whatever. When I walked into the room, who's in there was the girl that I was supposed to be taking to school, her mum. She was the choreographer on Stars in Their Eyes. And I looked in the corner, and there's her dad. Unbelievable. And they went, what are you doing here? I said, no, what are you two doing here? And we never spoke about it or anything. And driving home, and they said, Colin, you're on the show. So it wasn't the case of, I probably did well in the audition, but I was very lucky at the right place at the right time.
Good God, I don't know whether that's nepotism or it sounds a little bit like those mafia movies where the next day you found a horse's head in your bed and life starts taking really funny turns.
Wow. And ever since that day, really, life did change for me.
So we're going to see you on the 14th of June, Colin. I want to call you Billy because it just feels like you should be him. You were naturally born to be Billy. There's a headline in there somewhere. But you've got this great show coming along. People are obviously buying lots of tickets, which is great. What can they, without giving too much away, because we don't want to spoil the show, what sort of thing can they expect when you come to Cannock?
Well, from start to finish, we sort of start with his very first hit. His first hit was Maybe Tomorrow, but we start with Like We've Never Been Gone. The lights go down, and all the drums, all the keyboards, and all the guitars and the amps are all authentic. Everything's been, painted and done properly as they used to use it with Billy. So as soon as you see the stage set and the backdrop, they go, ooh, get excited, and the band come on and play some instrumentals from that era, and then all hell breaks loose for an hour, and then we have a 20-minute interval, and then in the second half, the band tell their own stories and stories that people have never heard, about Billy, and it's just free flowing all the way through. I wouldn't say it's a stage play because literally the longest in between each song is about 40 seconds. And we get people come in and say, I didn't know Billy did this, and I didn't know Billy did that, which is good. It's good to see them on stage again and still working, because they love what they're doing and they were there. You can't take that credit away from them, So someone said it probably won't be long before there's a tribute out to our show, so be quite good, be quite nice that we can have a relapse then.
It sounds like your sons Reese and Ricky may have a job waiting in the wings for them, Colin.
They've got their own band, they're off. When they're not working for us, they're off with the Hollies, so...
What an incredible family. And don't forget as well, you'll be able to touch Billy's quiff, it sounds like, after the show.
We always come out and say hello, definitely.
Brilliant. Wonderful. Well, Saturday the 14th of June, get down there, see Colin as Billy and the Billy Fury story over at the Prince of Wales Theatre, 7:30. Get over to boxoffice.wlct.org to get your tickets. Colin, thank you so much for joining us today on the Prince of Wales Theatre Show. It's been an absolute pleasure. Wise words there from Colin Gold, who's performing as Billy Fury. You can even touch his quiff, as he mentioned. He will be out with the band after the show to meet and greet. That's on Saturday the 14th of June. Coming up, Richard, actually very, very closely now, isn't it? 7:30pm that day. So tickets are selling well, as you would imagine. I mean, these things are great, and even tribute shows themselves are good. And one of the shows that you've coming up a little bit further away is Gimme, Gimme, Gimme. We love a little bit of this cheesy Europop, don't we? But this sounds like a great show for all the family, Richard.
Absolutely, and it is very much a show, Dave, where you will get people of all ages. You know, mum and dad will bring the kids, and who's to say granny won't come along too. And it's nice to be able to give our listeners a little bit of a heads up of a show that's coming, you know, a little bit further down the road in early July. And we did touch on tribute shows a minute ago, but the benefit of this particular one is you actually, in effect, get to listen to two bands. Because not only have you got a very, very good ABBA tribute, there's also equally excellent Bee Gees tribute. Oh. So you've got two mega bands from the 70s and 80s, and indeed beyond that in terms of their longevity, really. And this particular show, it's probably now on its third or fourth return to us. And believe you me, Dave, we don't have shows back if they don't do well. We don't have shows back if, you know, our audience haven't told us that's a quality show. So, you know, there's a little bit of proof in the eating there. You know, it's been back with us 3 or 4 times. We get people coming back and back and back to see the show again. It's a good show, without a doubt. I mean, great vocalists, great costumes. The production quality is really high. Yeah, if people love that sort of 70s, 80s pop music, and we're talking about two of the biggest bands in the music here, then they're going to love Gimme, Gimme, Gimme.
Well, it sounds like the energy levels are sufficiently raised throughout the shows themselves, Richard. It was funny, just harking back to our chat with Colin just now, that one of his favourite memories of the theatre is your renowned, apparently celebrated and no doubt world-famous coffee machine. I'm surprised that gets any use with all these shows on track.
I think in all fairness, Dave, what Colin's referring to is sort of away from the public there, shall we say. You know, we've got an area where the artists can sort themselves out some drinks and so on and so forth.
The fated green room, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And we lay them on free of charge, and Colin's obviously very grateful for that. And, you know, he can have as much tea or coffee as he likes when we see him at the end of June.
That's why Halfway to Paradise, and when he gets to Cannock, he's there. Good to hear. Well, this is great. This has been a wrap for episode 2 of this show. We've covered Halfway to Paradise, a great show, the Billy Fury story, and Stars of Strictly, where Katya came and joined us on the show to talk about that, and looking forward to that on Friday the 27th of June. You can get all the information you need from our website, wlct.org/Cannock/theatre, and of course buy any of the tickets for any of the shows we've mentioned, and many more besides, both by calling us up, and Richard will have the number for you in a minute, or you can go online at boxoffice.wlct.org. Richard, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Just as I say, just to reiterate, obviously there's the online facility which Dave mentioned, which is really easy to navigate to get tickets for all the shows. Some people do like to ring up and speak to a box office person, so we're very happy for them to do that, and they've only got to ring us on 01543 578 762, and we'll take them through the whole booking process and, you know, make that the start of their visit to the Prince of Wales.
Richard, thanks for your time together, as always, today. Richard Kay, the manager of the Prince of Wales Theatre. We wish you some great shows ahead, and catch you soon in episode 3. Have a great show.
Thanks ever so much, Dave.
The Prince of Wales Theatre Show is brought to you by WLCT, a social enterprise working with councils across the UK, encouraging everyone to be active, creative and healthy. For more information, go to wlct.org.